everyone, Pam here. I am so happy that you are here and you are taking the time to learn about clean eating. This topic is near and dear to my heart, so I can get pretty passionate as I speak on this. So I will just go ahead and apologize in advance for that fact. So, let's go ahead and get started. What are we going to learn today? We are going to learn about the current trends in today's culture with regard to agricultural practices, the average American diet, childhood obesity, and how these trends are affecting our health as a nation. We also will learn about clean eating, what it is, why it's so important. We'll learn about the slight edge effect theory, what that is, and what it means. And we will also talk about some potential solutions for all of these health issues. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. America has a nutritional health crisis. It really does. Michelle Obama was featured in the March 22nd, 2010 feature Newsweek, where she wrote the cover story and landed on the cover of the magazine, Feed Your Children Well. She brought to our attention the fact that childhood obesity rates have tripled in the past 3 decades, and the excess weight that kids are carrying these days has increased the risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, asthma, etc. This should not be news to us. The health of this country has been going downhill for quite some time now. In the United States, 1/3 of adults and 17% of teens and children are obese, and those numbers are getting worse every year. Another problem is that we are addicted to bad food. There was a study featured in Bloomberg Business Week showing that junk food addiction is a real thing. The article was entitled, Fatty Foods as Addictive as Cocaine in Growing Body of Science on November 2nd, 2011. And there is growing body of research at leading universities and government labs suggesting that processed foods and sugary drinks can hijack the brain in ways that resemble addictions to cocaine, nicotine, and other drugs. This is crazy. Doesn't this make you want to do something to stop this cycle from happening to you? I mean, really? Junk food causing addiction? You have got to stop that cycle going on in your brain. And to make it worse, in rat studies, it was shown that the more fattening foods that the rats ate, the more they wanted. These same studies went on to show that when the sugar-dependent rats were offered healthy foods, that they would absolutely rather starve themselves than choose the healthy food option. And this is what we are teaching our children, people. This is how we are teaching them to eat. Fast food, sugary snacks, soda, processed cookies, cakes, crackers. It is everywhere. And I haven't even begun to talk about all the chemicals and preservatives that are added to fast food and processed foods that are so unhealthy for us. I could do an entire hour-long talk just on this topic alone. There are so many unhealthy food additives that are added to processed foods, and the FDA allows it. I know, it's maddening. Just look at all the food additives listed on this slide that are added to foods that we eat every day, like Doritos, Fruit Loops, even apple juice. Now look at all the problems that these additives can cause, and there are more. Many have been linked to cancers, Alzheimer's disease, and other serious conditions. Third, real people are getting sick. CNN recently reported that experts now project an entire generation of kids may die 20 years earlier than their parents because of diseases caused by being overweight. Diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, high cholesterol. This is really scary. Let me repeat that again. Experts now project an entire generation of kids may die 20 years earlier than their parents because of diseases caused by being overweight. I can't begin to describe how sad that is and what it says about our culture. When life began, man ate to live, and now we as a culture live to eat. Don't we love our kids enough to set a better example and to teach them a healthy lifestyle? In addition to the fact that as a nation, we just don't eat healthy, and we're addicted to junk food, we have even more problems than that. Food is less nutritious today than it was 50 years ago, and this continues to get worse every year. So even when we want to eat healthy, and we try to eat healthy, and we actually make the healthy choice, we pass the French fries, we choose the baked sweet potato, we pass the donut, we choose the healthy bowl of fruit. We can't win for losing because food is just not as nutritious nowadays. That is so frustrating to me. No matter how hard I try to eat right and make healthy choices, I am just not going to be able to give my body all of the nutrients that it needs. Why is this so? Why is food less healthy today than it was? Well, industrial agriculture is degrading the nutritional quality of our food. The processes and practices that Big Ag has put into place in this country is degrading the nutritional quality of our food. A number of studies have explored the phenomenon of declining nutrients in fruits and vegetables, but the one that got the most media attention was led by Dr. Donald R. Davis at University of Texas, and it was published in a magazine called Hort Science. He found that more crops grown in a given space almost always resulted in less nutrient levels in the food, ranging from 5 to 40%. So, mass production of crops is significantly decreasing the nutritional value of our healthy food choices. An apple grown today may only have about 50% of the nutrients that it did grown 50 years ago. Also, chemical fertilizers add toxins to our soil and to our foods. Modern farming practices leads to nutritionally deficient foods due to soil depletion and the use of synthetic fertilizers, and even worse, most produce is laced with chemicals, and even more alarming, pesticides. It's not just the soil that is losing out here, guys. It's our health. Additionally, many fruits and vegetables are now even picked prematurely. Did you know that most tomatoes are now made to look red using a synthetic chemical called ethylene instead of sunlight? It's just sickening, isn't it? And do you know that our country's leaders have known about this for generations? Listen to this excerpt from a document that was placed into the Congressional Record in 1936 by a senator from Florida. He said, "Lab tests prove that fruits, vegetables, grains, eggs, even milk and meats of today are not what they were a few generations ago. These foods of today, which do not contain enough certain needed minerals, are starving us, no matter how much of them we eat. No man of today can eat enough fruits and veggies to supply his system with the minerals and nutrients he requires for perfect health, because his stomach isn't big enough to hold them." That was placed in the Congressional Record in 1936. In other words, the fatter that a person is, the more his body has been starving for wholesome foods. The bottom line, we are overfed and undernourished. We can buy organic foods, buy directly from the farm, or go to the farmer's market to try to combat some of these issues, but we still won't be able to replace all of the minerals and nutrients that our body needs, even if we can afford to only purchase from organic farms or from the farm directly. Let's talk a little bit about the slight edge effect. Two-time Nobel Prize winner Dr. Linus Pauling came up with the theory that you can trace every sickness, every disease, and every ailment to a mineral deficiency. This is so true. Slight nutritional deficiencies build up over time. As a pharmacist, I have seen this myself. And I have learned about the deficiencies of vitamins and minerals and neurotransmitters, antioxidants, etc., and how these deficiencies are linked to mood and many psychological disorders like ADHD, depression, and Alzheimer's. Additionally, these types of deficiencies can be linked to health conditions like heart disease, stroke, irritable bowel syndrome, allergies, eczema, asthma, psoriasis, lupus, just to name a few. What we are talking about here is linking these nutritional deficits from our food to the majority of the diagnoses that we face in this nation. So what can we do? Let's talk a little bit about clean eating. Exactly what is clean eating anyway? Here is my short and sweet definition. Eating the healthiest options in the food groups like fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, dairy, whole grains, and proteins. It's all about avoiding processed junk food and fast food. So basically, clean eating is eating fresh, healthy, well-rounded meals. Now that I can get behind. A good rule of thumb to think about. If it has a label, it's not real food. Real food doesn't need an ingredient list because real food is the ingredient. You will need to become an expert at reading labels. You really need to get into the habit of regularly reading the labels on things. Look for sodium, sugar, how many ingredients the product has listed. Does it have a long list of ingredients with unrecognizable names? If foods have more than 5 items on their list, they're probably not clean. So what is just so wrong with processed foods anyway? Well, they are the main reason why people all over the world are getting fat and sick. How do we know this? Every time a population adopts a Western diet high in processed foods, they get sick. It happens within a few years. It's not their genes changing people, it's their food that has changed. Processed foods are actually loaded with added sugar, or either its evil twin, high fructose corn syrup. It is well known that sugar, when consumed in excess, is seriously harmful. As we all know, sugar is empty calories. It has no essential nutrients, but does have a large amount of energy. But empty calories are really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the harmful effects of sugar. Many studies show that sugar can have devastating effects on metabolism that go way beyond its calorie content. It leads to insulin resistance, high triglycerides, increased levels of the harmful cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and increased fat accumulation in the liver and the abdominal cavity. Not surprisingly, sugar consumption is strongly associated with some of the world's leading killers like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. Most people aren't putting massive amounts of sugar in their coffee or on top of their cereal. They're getting it from processed foods and sugar-sweetened beverages. The bottom line, processed foods and beverages are the biggest sources of added sugar in the American diet. Sugar is very unhealthy and can have serious adverse effects on the metabolism when consumed in excess. Additionally, number 2, processed foods are hyper rewarding and they lead to overconsumption. We all want to eat good food. That's just human nature. Evolution provided us with taste buds that are supposed to help us navigate the natural food environment. Our appetite gravitates towards foods that are sweet, salty, and fatty because we know such foods contain energy and nutrients that we need for survival. Obviously, if a food manufacturer wants to succeed and get people to buy their product, it has to taste good. But today the competition is fierce. There are many different food manufacturers all competing with each other. For this reason, massive resources are spent on making foods as desirable as possible. Many processed foods have been engineered to be so incredibly rewarding to the brain that they overpower anything we might have come across in nature. We have complicated mechanisms in our bodies and brains that are supposed to regulate energy balance, how much we eat and how much we burn, which until very recently in evolutionary history worked to keep us at a healthy weight. There is quite a lot of evidence that the reward value of foods can bypass the innate defense mechanism and make us start eating much more than we need, so much that it starts to compromise our health. This is also known as the food reward hypothesis of obesity. The truth is, processed foods are so incredibly rewarding to our brains that they affect our thoughts and behavior, making us eat more and more until eventually we become sick. Good food is good. But foods that are engineered to be hyper rewarding, effectively short-circuiting our innate brakes against overconsumption, are not good. The bottom line, food manufacturers spend massive amounts of resources on making their foods as rewarding as possible to the brain, which leads to overconsumption. Number 3, processed foods contain all sorts of artificial ingredients. If you look at the ingredient label for a processed packaged food, chances are that you will have a clue what some of its ingredients are. But much of it is not actual food. There are artificial chemicals that are added for various purposes. And I don't know what all of that is, but it most certainly is not food. Highly processed foods often contain preservatives, colorants, flavor, texturants. Keep in mind that processed foods can contain dozens of additional chemicals that aren't even listed on the label. For example, artificial flavor is a proprietary blend. Manufacturers don't have to disclose exactly what it means, and it is usually a combination of chemicals. For this reason, if you see artificial flavor on an ingredients list, it could mean that there are 10 or more additional chemicals that are blended in to give a specific flavor. Of course, most of these chemicals have allegedly been tested for safety, but given that the regulatory authorities still think that sugar and vegetable oils are safe, I personally take their stamp of approval with a grain of salt. The bottom line, most highly processed foods are loaded with artificial chemicals, including flavorants, texturants, colorants, and preservatives. Number 4, many people can literally become addicted to processed junk foods. The hyper-rewarding nature of processed foods can have serious consequences for some people. Some people literally become addicted to this stuff and completely lose control over their consumption. This is what we were talking about earlier. Although food addiction is something that most people don't know about, I am personally convinced that it is a huge problem in society today. It is the main reason why some people just can't stop eating these foods no matter how hard they try. They've had their brain biochemistry hijacked by the intense dopamine release that occurs in the brain when they eat these foods. This is actually supported by many studies. Sugar and highly rewarding junk foods activate the same areas in the brain as drugs of abuse like cocaine. The bottom line, for many people, junk food can hijack the biochemistry of the brain, leading to downright addiction and cause them to lose control over their consumption. Number 5. Processed foods are often high in refined carbohydrates. There is a lot of controversy regarding carbohydrates in the diet. Some people think that the majority of our energy intake should come from carbs, while others think they should be avoided like the plague. But one thing that almost everyone can agree on is that carbohydrates from whole foods are much better than refined carbohydrates. I think we need carbs, the right kind of carbs in the right portion. Processed foods are often high in carbs, but it is usually the refined variety, not the whole foods variety. One of the main problems is that refined or simple carbohydrates are quickly broken down in the digestive tract, leading to rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin levels. This can lead to carb and sugar cravings and overeating just a few hours later when the blood sugar levels go down again. This phenomenon is also called the blood sugar roller coaster, which many people have experienced if they've ever been on a high carb diet, and they can relate to what I'm talking about. Not surprisingly, eating a lot of refined carbohydrates is associated with negative health effects and many chronic diseases. Do not be fooled by labels like whole grains that are often plastered on processed food packages, including breakfast cereals like Cheerios. These are usually whole grains that have been pulverized into very fine flour and are just as harmful as their refined counterparts. If you're going to eat carbs, get them from whole, single ingredient foods, not processed junk foods. The bottom line, the carbohydrates you find in processed foods are usually refined, simple carbohydrates. These lead to rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin levels and cause negative health effects. Number 6. Most processed foods are low in nutrients. Processed foods are extremely low in essential nutrients compared to whole, unprocessed foods. In some cases, synthetic vitamins and minerals are added to the foods to compensate for what was lost during processing. However, synthetic nutrients are not a good replacement for the nutrients found in whole foods. Also, let's not forget that real foods contain much more than just the standard vitamins and minerals that we're all familiar with. Real foods, like plants and animals, contain thousands of other trace nutrients that science is just beginning to grasp. Maybe one day we will invent a chemical blend that can replace all these nutrients, but until that happens, the only way to get them into your diet is to eat whole, unprocessed foods. The more you eat of processed foods, the less you will get of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and various trace nutrients. The bottom line, there are many nutrients found in whole foods that are not found in processed foods. The more processed foods you eat, the less you will get of these nutrients. Number 7. Processed foods tend to be low in fiber. Fiber, especially soluble fermentable fiber, has various benefits. The main one is that it functions as a prebiotic, feeding the friendly bacteria in the intestine. There is also evidence that fiber can slow down the absorption of carbohydrates and help us feel more satisfied with fewer calories, meaning we feel fuller, faster, and longer. Soluble fiber can also help treat many causes of constipation, which is a very common problem today. The fiber that is found naturally in foods is often lost during processing or intentionally removed. Therefore, most processed foods are very low in fiber. The bottom line, soluble fermentable fiber has various important health benefits, but most processed foods are very low in fiber because it is lost or intentionally removed during processing. Number 8, it requires less energy and time to digest processed foods. Food manufacturers want their processed food products to have a long shelf life. They also want each batch of the product to have a similar consistency, and they want their foods to be easily consumed. Given the way foods are processed, they are often very easy to chew and swallow. Sometimes it's almost as if they melt in your mouth. Most of the fiber has been taken out, and the ingredients are refined, isolated nutrients that don't resemble the whole foods that they came from. One consequence of this is that it takes less energy to eat and digest these processed foods. We can eat more of them in a shorter amount of time, more calories in. We also burn less energy, fewer calories out, digesting them than we would if we were eating unprocessed, whole foods. Number 9, processed foods are often high in unhealthy fats. These usually contain cheap fats, refined seed vegetable oils like soybean oil that are often hydrogenated, which turns them into trans fats. Vegetable oils are extremely unhealthy, and most people are eating way too much of them already. These fats contain excessive amounts of omega-6 fatty acids, which could drive oxidation and inflammation in the body. Several studies show that when people eat more of these oils, they have a significantly increased risk of heart disease, which is the most common cause of death in Western countries today. If the fats are hydrogenated, that makes them even worse. Hydrogenated trans fats are among the nastiest, unhealthiest substances you can put into your body. The best way to avoid seed oils and trans fats is to avoid processed foods. Eat real fats like butter, coconut oil, and olive oil instead. Bottom line, just eat real food. Real food is the key to good health. Processed food is not, period. Another interesting tidbit that people really don't realize, your body was not made to digest all those chemicals and additives, and it just doesn't know what to do with those things when you eat those kinds of foods. Your body says, hey, wait a minute, what is this? I don't know what this is. It might be something harmful. I better store it here in this fat cell for safekeeping. And get this, you will have to work 2 to 3 times harder to get rid of that fat cell later on down the road because your body does not want to turn loose of that. Your body is always trying to maintain steady state and preserve itself. And if it thinks that something harmful is inside of that fat cell that could be dangerous to your health, it wants to keep it there. It does not want to break down that fat cell, and it's going to do everything in its power to not break down that fat cell and release that chemical toxin back into your bloodstream. So the more processed junk that you eat, the more toxins you will store in fat cells, and the harder it will be to lose weight. Sounds like a vicious cycle, huh? How do we break that cycle? So what can we do? Is there anything out there that can help us combat all of these nutritional deficits that we learned about with regard to the agricultural practices of this country? Is there anything that we can have that will truly feed our body what it needs so that we can get healthy and that we can teach our children to do the same? What if I told you that there was an answer to this problem? The solution is something that I have been drinking now every day for over a year, Shakeology. Absolutely, hands down, the healthiest meal of the day. Shakeology contains high-quality antioxidants, powerful vitamins and minerals, super greens, phytonutrients, crucial proteins, essential amino acids, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, good carbs, low fat, and over 70 superfoods. What's a superfood? Superfoods are what we call the most incredibly healthy foods on our planet. These foods are low in calories, high in nutrients, and go beyond meeting the basic nutritional needs. Instead, they have high concentrations of multiple nutrients that work together to support the immune system and help fight aging. While other shakes on the market contain a few of the key nutrient groups, Shakeology is the only one that provides them all in one shake. Shakeology's proprietary blend of digestive enzymes, prebiotics, and probiotics helps your body eliminate toxins that have built up over the years due to eating bad food. And its 100% whole food ingredients fuel your body with essential vitamins, minerals, proteins, and nutrients that the average American diet lacks. Here's the bottom line. If you want to live healthy, you've got to eat healthy. And Shakeology is the easiest and most affordable way. This is because Shakeology truly is nutrition simplified. At $4 a day for all the nutrition contained within Shakeology, there's really no way that you can eat healthier and spend less. Many have tried, none have succeeded. It's a no-brainer. Shakeology just makes sense financially and for your health. Every ingredient goes through rigorous certification and testing to ensure potent nutrient concentration. Shakeology is the most delicious, nutrient-dense, superfood-packed protein shake on the planet. It's made with all the healthy stuff you should be eating every day, but typically don't. While Shakeology does promote weight loss, it does so much more. It actually improves your overall health by feeding your body complete nutrition and correcting all of those deficiencies that we talked about earlier to improve your health. Many clients with multiple sclerosis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and other autoimmune disorders have reported significant improvements in their symptoms and disease just by adding Shakeology. What a simple concept to treat disease, huh? Feed your body the nutrition it needs. Research it yourself. You can go on YouTube and find multiple testimonies of people who state that Shakeology has cleared their psoriasis, improved their allergies to the point they could stop taking Claritin every day, improved their chronic pain, improved their digestive issues or heartburn to where they could stop taking Prilosec or Zantac. These are just a few examples. I have seen people in my own challenge groups have these kinds of results. Beachbody actually did a survey and showed that 93% feel healthier when they drink it, 86% reported an increased energy level, 81% feel it helped reduce cravings for junk food, 91% said it helped improve their irregularity, 81% said Shakeology kept them full until their next meal, 72% said it helped them lose weight, 82% reported improved digestion, 77% of the people felt more alert and focused throughout the day. 74% noticed an improvement in their mood. 97% believed it's a smart investment in their health. 97%. Shakeology is clinically proven to reduce cholesterol and hemoglobin A1C levels. Shakeology has been clinically proven to reduce cholesterol levels and blood sugar levels. In a clinical study lasting 90 days, the average total cholesterol reduction was 7% with a maximum of 50%. Participants reduced their A1Cs by an average of 5% up to 19%. Thanks to this study, there's now proof that Shakeology really works. All the testimonials showed and shared by Shakeology drinkers, now there's actual proof of how it changed their lives, and it wasn't just a random thing that only they experienced. This stuff works. I mean, it really, really works. Shakeology is supported by the medical community too. Many doctors recommend Shakeology to their patients and also drink it themselves. So let me share with you a little bit about why I started drinking it and what it has done for me. This is a video that I actually recorded myself. I just wanted to share with you why I started drinking Shakeology and what Shakeology has done for me. I actually started drinking Shakeology about 9 months ago. I did the entire first month of the Insanity program without drinking Shakeology because I thought I just didn't need it. I thought it was too expensive and that I didn't need it. So I did a little research into the product and discovered that it was so much more than a protein shake. It has all this other stuff in there: vitamins, minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, antioxidants, phytonutrients, digestive enzymes. I mean, you name it, it's in there. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just give it a try and see if it makes a difference. I'll just, drink it for this last month of Insanity and, see if how it makes me feel. And that was my plan. I was only just going to drink it for that 1 month. But I'm so glad that I did give it a try because I noticed an immediate difference. It immediately just boosted my energy. I really feel like it improved my performance in doing the workouts also. Um, but most importantly, it just made me feel healthier. I got rid of that blah, just drained feeling that I had grown so accustomed to feeling. I thought that, this is just the way you feel when you get into your 40s. But boy, was that wrong. I mean, now, today, I feel like I have just as much energy. I feel just as good and focused and all of that as I did when I was in my 20s. I mean, and that's great. I just couldn't be happier that I feel this way again after, years of just feeling so blah and drained all the time. Additionally, something about me in my spare time, I do a lot of reading about food additives and just the food industry in general. I'm kind of a nerd in that way, and I'm really just appalled by what the FDA allows in the sense of all the additives that they put into our food and the way that the agricultural industry grows our food now to mass produce. Did you realize that an apple grown today only has 25% of the nutritional value that it once had because of the way we've depleted the soil of all of its minerals and nutrients? Can you believe that? Isn't that just crazy? So my point is this: no matter how hard I try to eat the healthy foods and choose all the right vegetables and all of that, I'm still not going to give my body all of the nutrients that it needs because I can't, because basically the food industry won't let me. So, that was another big draw for me to drink Shakeology because it just takes the worry out of that. I don't have to worry about if I'm getting all the nutrition that I need because Shakeology has that covered for me. And that's wonderful. Another thing is that Shakeology has definitely improved my digestive health. Without, hopefully giving you TMI, I have always been a person my entire life that has always been very irregular to the tune of every 3 to 4 days. And doctors all my life have said, well, if that's your normal, then, that's okay. Well, it's not my normal anymore. I'm here to tell you. I truly believe that adding Shakeology to my daily regimen has just helped to cleanse my system of all the toxins and things that have just built up over decades of eating processed food and just, all the crap that we feed our bodies. And so that in turn has just significantly improved my digestive health 100% to the best that it has ever been in my entire life. Additionally, I'm not a person that does have high cholesterol. That being said, Shakeology has reduced my LDL cholesterol 15 points from 103 to 88 over a 6-month period from one checkup to the next. And I know that it was the Shakeology because I already was exercising regularly. I was already eating healthy. I was already doing all those things. The only real difference that I made in my lifestyle was to add the Shakeology. So it really does change your blood sugar profile as well as your lipid profile. Shakeology has decreased my cravings for junk food, and I have been able to lose 25 pounds using Shakeology in combination with 21 Day Fix. I've lost that since this past October, so that's some pretty incredible results too. So I'll just sum it up by saying I like Shakeology because it's fast and easy for me. I'm a busy working mom, so anything that I can do in the mornings to make my life easier or to save time is obviously a plus. I don't have to worry anymore about eating all the colors of the rainbow when I eat my vegetables because Shakeology has that covered for me. It takes all the worry and the planning out of my nutrition, and I don't have to take supplements. I don't have to take vitamins because Shakeology it's got all that covered. Initially, I thought that Shakeology was going to be more expensive for me and that I couldn't afford it. But I have learned in the long run that it actually saves me money. I'm not having to spend money on vitamins and supplements. I'm buying less junk food from the grocery store. And I have just decided that I can put that $4 a day into my grocery budget and budget for it that way. And with all the nutrition that you get, to me, it's worth it. I have found the value in budgeting $4 a day for my health and for my sanity. It definitely is the healthiest and even the least expensive meal every day that I either cook or make for myself. It truly is nutrition simplified, and it has changed my life. Here are a few testimonials. These are actually pictures that I use to make Facebook posts because these particular clients of mine in my challenge group had such drastic and significant results. These are real people, and these were real Facebook posts. I will post the link to these Facebook posts so that you can click on them and go see the original post for yourself and what all their family and friends had to say about it. I'll post it on the same page on this website under this video. So this first person, meet Sharon. She is a dear friend of mine, married to a longtime friend of my husband. They actually went to high school together. And anyway, look at her results that drinking Shakeology has had on her health. Her total cholesterol went from 253 to 160. Her HDL, or good cholesterol, went from 70 to 61. Her LDL, or bad cholesterol, went from 159 to 75. Her overall risk factor dropped from 3.6 to 2.6%. And her hemoglobin A1C went from 8.4% to 7%. Wow. I mean, those results are just absolutely incredible. She really was so skeptical and thought there's no way that this is going to help me. She's been diabetic for a long time, and she is just so happy with her results. This next person is Maria. She's my coworker, and she and I work together every single day. In just 3 months, she has lost 20 pounds. That is awesome, and she feels so much better. And she was about to have to go on cholesterol medication. Her physician told her that he was going to put her on medication, and she begged and pleaded, please, please, please give me one more chance to do it on my own before you make me go on a medication. So he obliged and gave her one more chance, and she had 3 months before her next scheduled appointment, and she reduced her total cholesterol from 220 to 155. Her doctor said, okay, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it, girl. I won't put you on medication. This next person is Mary. She is my husband's coworker, and she has been taking a statin, I believe it was Lipitor, and it was causing really, really bad side effects with her legs. She was having the rhabdomyolysis, or the muscle damage, which is a pretty common side effect with statins. And she really wanted to come off of that medication. And so she started drinking Shakeology in hopes that it would reduce her cholesterol to the point where she could come off of the medication. She reduced her total cholesterol from 229 to 160. Her LDL, which is her bad cholesterol, dropped from 150 to 90. She was thrilled, and yes, she did come off of her statin. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this video, and I really do hope that you have found it helpful and that you've learned a lot from it. And please, please, please know that you can always ask me anything you want to know about any of these things: clean eating, the processed foods, how they hurt our bodies, Shakeology, you name it. I'm here to help and support you. Again, thanks for watching.